but they knew you weren't really, checking your email every day. So they said, please, please, here.
Oh, good. I'll sit down and read this.
Sure.
Welcome. We're going to get started in a minute, so go ahead and find a seat. Just back there, if you need to come to your range.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, welcome to New Day. So glad you guys are all here. We've switched up our events this evening, so Miss is going to share announcements right now, and then we'll be going into more songs. Okay, just a couple announcements. Next Sunday, as is our custom on the fourth Sunday every month, we're going to have a potluck, which means if you're able to bring something to share that is consumable. And a guideline, if you'd like to be guided, is if you have your last name between A and L, bring a side dish. And if your last name is between M and Z, bring a main dish. And that's just next week. And then we also have, after the potluck, we'll take just a little bit to transition and clean up. And at 6 o'clock, we'll have a community worship evening, which I think we have some local musicians invited, and anyone is welcome. And there'll be childcare, not of ours, so all of our kids class helpers can still be included in the music time here. And then just in general, looking forward, we have making the calendar for the next season, and so we have holiday celebration things coming up, and a men's retreat and a women's retreat coming up in the late winter. So just lots of things to look forward to. That is all for now. I'm going to add an announcement. This coming Saturday after Thanksgiving, last year the Bays of our family went out to Al's Christmas tree farm. It's out in Elmira, and they do a tractor ride and hot chocolate and cider, and they do the shakedown for the tree to get all the spiders out, and then they'll wind up your tree for you. And so the Bays and us are going to invite everybody who wants to come out to Al's Christmas tree farm at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning. So anybody that wants to get up early and go do that is welcome to come along.
We're going at 9 and we're working on some times, so. We'll see how it goes. If it's raining really hard, we might maybe we'll just throw some coats on, but I'll get that look.
We get Christmas trees the weekend after Thanksgiving. All right,
We are here for you.
been quite a few times in my journey in life that I really would hope for something great, but sometimes just don't necessarily have the faith for it. And so a lot of those times have been met with somebody like a friend or my mom who will say, even if you don't have the faith for that right now, I will stand in the gap with you and I will believe for that on your behalf. So just as a support. And I feel like this song is very obviously welcoming, and it's all about opening up our hearts and having God speak a word to us and share something that would bring us more life, more freedom, more joy, something in exchange for what we're carrying around that is tiring or hindering or anything that's kind of dragging us down. And so, as we sing this just for a little bit longer, I just want you to know that there's a lot of people in here that are standing in the gap on your behalf and are believing this together, that God's going to speak to you or move something in you or give you something or want to replace something in you that would bring more life. And so as we sing this, if you don't have the faith for it at the moment, that's no biggie, because there's a lot of people in here that are just standing together as the body of Christ to love one another. And so if you're finding yourself in need of that, go ahead and just whisper along or let your heart sing it along, or you can sing it and just know that there's a lot of people here believing for God to speak and do good things. So let's sing Let Our Shout Be Your Let our shout be your love, your renown. Fill this heart, we are here for you. We are here for you. Let your word move in power, and let what's dead come to life. We are here for you. We are here for you. Our hearts are open, and nothing here is hidden. Our one desire. You alone are holy, and only you are worthy. God, let your fire fall down. We welcome you with praise. We welcome you with praise. Almighty God of love, we welcome to this place. We welcome you with praise. We welcome you with praise. Almighty God of love, we welcome to this place. Let every heart and soul, let every soul awake. Almighty God of love, we welcome to this place. We welcome you with praise. We welcome you with praise. Almighty God of love, we welcome. Let every heart adore. Let every heart and soul, let every soul awake. Almighty God of love, be welcomed in this place.
I'd like to pray for us, if you wouldn't mind. Obviously, inviting God into a place is sort of saying we're all here together for a reason. And prayer is simply us just bringing ourselves to Him and then giving Him an opportunity to also speak to us. So maybe you feel like you've got a lot to say today. Like if you had an audience with God, you could say a lot. Maybe you don't really feel like you have much to say, but you'd be interested to hear some things. What a great opportunity, all being together like this. So if you want to, just however, whatever helps you. Sometimes people like to just open their hands as a sign of receptivity. Whatever helps you, just kind of be in a place where you feel like that exchange can happen. Just do that. God, thanks for music, and thanks that it has the ability to go places in us and to bring up things that we didn't really necessarily know how to bring up ourselves. Thank you for just the ways that you made the world and made us to be a part of it, and made good things, like Amy was talking about, good things that we can expect. For many of us, we might have questions in the front of our mind, things that are urgent, things that are troubling or challenging. Others of us, we might feel like things are great. But God, thanks for the promise that you will always be with us. And we never have to question or worry or doubt that you're here. You just are, because you say you are. So we have a great opportunity today, again, to make ourselves present with you. Would you help us to do that? That's something that's challenging for us. It's something that we don't do constantly, but we're learning how to do. God, would you help us to take whatever a next step is for each one of us? Thanks that there is always a next step, and it's always something that's good and we can look forward to. Would you help us today? Whatever that next step may be. Thanks for all the amazing people in this room, and that today we can be here together. We can be present with each other. We can accept and love one another and enjoy and have acceptance. And help us to do that today as we spend our evening together. In Jesus' name. Amen. Hey, I just want to briefly do a little reminder of what we're talking about, and then we have somebody who's a guest who's visiting today. Sorry. We started last week talking about this idea of kind of being bold. So I put this really cheesy title up. And as I thought about this idea of sort of the boldly going, maybe not where no one has gone before, but maybe where you've never gone before. That, I think, is a much more interesting thing to talk about, because we all have the opportunity to go somewhere we've never been before. And so when I was talking about this, I brought up this idea that came out of the chapter we were looking at, which today Jesse's going to talk about the next chapter. But it talked about sort of unveiling, the idea of living unveiled. And the more I thought about that, the more I realized I think kind of gauging on some of the conversations I've had since last Sunday, and obviously what I was personally experiencing, I have just felt that there was a lot of us who would say, I would like to figure out more how to kind of remove whatever veils or barriers or things get in the way between me just being able to be me, for one, but to be open with God and to experience whatever He has designed that relationship to look like, and then sort of following that, how to sort of live more unveiled with the people around me, how to be able to allow people to see my real heart, so that they can open up to me as well and experience a relationship with the design and experiencing. So this idea of unveiling has been sticking in my mind. So while we continue to go on to the holiday season and talk about Christmas and stuff, I'm also going to be just making a weekly video that we'll send out, and you can watch it or not, but it's going to go out to everybody on our email list. And it's just going to be thoughts for what you can do this next week to practice. What are some actually really, really specific practical things that you can do? There are things. And so I'm going to make just a video every week for the next couple weeks, and I'll send it out. And if you want to journey along that with me, that would be great. I always love getting people's responses. And then on top of that, we're looking at just making a little time available for people who want to get together and talk about that after church on some Sundays. Do we know when that's going to start? Today? All right. Do you guys pick a location? I meant to talk to you at this point.
No, we'll do it after.
All right. So Mike and Jesse have volunteered to. Oh, sorry.
Mike and Amanda.
Okay, Mike and Amanda Bass volunteered to make sure that there's going to be some people hanging out after church for the next 7 weeks. If you just want to go hang out, sit down and talk somewhere, I'm sure you'll be great. Yeah, there you go. So there will be lots of opportunities, just if that is something that's stirring in you, to kind of jump on board so that people have some conversation. Okay. Okay. Now that I've said that, I'm really excited to hear what Jesse has. So you're up.
First mentioning in the middle of your tables are pieces of paper that I printed out. So if I tend to be a very sometimes overly structured person. Hopefully it doesn't feel overly structured. It's meant to hopefully offer enough structure that you can feel freedom within the structure. But I just thought it would help give some clarity to things as I'm going along. So if you're someone who likes to take notes, go ahead and do it. It's not like obliged you to, but it's available to you. Yeah, I'll be grading it afterwards. Okay, I'm gonna start. Okay, well first, I'm really, really inspired about what I'm talking about tonight. I hope that comes through in a language that makes sense to everyone. But I feel like it felt very on purpose when Joel and I, months ago, when he asked about like when would be the next time I might want to talk or whatever, and we decided on this date for a totally random reason. And then it just seemed like it perfectly fit with my process and my life and where I'm at with things, so it felt very purposeful. So I'm starting with a really broad question, and I'm not answering any specifics. Just handing that out to you up front. Okay, so if the first question, I can label it Q1. And it says, what do you do? If you were to paint your life, if you were to think about your life, think about any part of your life, think about it as a whole, however you want to think about it, there's no boundary on it at all. If somebody asked you, what do you do, and you answered it for yourself, what words would you say? What actions would you say? It can be whatever you want. It can be a sentence. It can just be words. It can be, what do you do? So take a minute and answer that for yourself. Come on.
I cry a lot. You can add to that, change it, do whatever you want with it later on, but hopefully that just gave you an initial, like, if I thought about my life and then somebody asked me, what do I do? What do you do in your life? So one of the main things I do is I'm a middle school teacher, so I teach 8th grade math, so forgive me for like always talking about it, but it's like fills 80% of my day every day, so it's kind of where a lot of my life is lived. So I'm going to tell you a little story. And when I asked God about an image about the topic for tonight, I felt like this was an example of that. So I see about 140 students every day. I generally see them for no more than about an hour at a time. Mind you, I'm trying to teach them math, not just like, hey, I'm the life, whatever. So it's tough to build meaningful relationships sometimes, especially with, the mass variety of people that are in my student body. There's some students that you wish would stay in your classroom forever, and then there's some students that if they never came back, like you kind of feel bad about it, but it would be okay. So one of those students is who I'm talking about. Since day one of school, he has been rude to me, he has been disrespectful, he's interrupted lessons, he has done any manner of things that you can imagine. And so my feelings toward him on a regular basis, it's very difficult to see him objectively sometimes. So that's my short backstory for that. So here's my scenario. Class has started, so imagine the bell has rung. I'm up front in the front of the class, I'm trying to like settle everyone down, and we're getting our lesson started. And maybe, 2 minutes into class, so everyone's like, oh, yes, you had that moment as you go, oh good, everyone's actually excited, I'm like, yay. And then he walks in the door, like trudging along, pulls out his chair and desk and makes all kinds of noise, and then sits down and looks at me, and then takes his pencil, puts it on the edge of the desk, and snaps the pencil in two, and then everyone's like, ooh, looking around. Like the whole class is now just erupting and like, what's going on? So I'm standing in front of a human being going like, God, like, what on earth? So I look at him and say, he finally gets up, very loudly, door shuffled out, blah, blah, blah. So my emotions are like raging inside. I'm frustrated, I'm irritated. I'm like, this is so selfish. Like, how can you just disrupt like the 30 other people that are in here? Never mind, like, the fact that I'm trying to like guide everybody and you're just totally like, da da da. I'm just like so upset and turmoil. Mind you, conflict is like death to me. So being a teacher has been a really extreme growing experience for that. So he finally goes out in the hallway. I get students resettled, and then they're supposed to do some quiet tasks. So I get them quieted, so they're working on it. And then I go out in the hallway. And as I'm walking out in the hallway, I just have this pit in my stomach. Like, oh my gosh, how am I going to handle this? I'm so upset. He's obviously something's going on. And so I just finally said, like, God, can you do this with me? I mean, I remember like literally in my head just saying, God, can you do this with me? And then I just felt like a wash of sensation that I was supposed to ask why, not of God, but of the kid. Like, just ask why. So I go out in the hallway. He's like sitting on the floor, head down, and I'm like, hey man, can you stand up? And he like looks at me. Yeah, I can go on with how disrespectful he is, but it's like just constant. Just imagine constant disrespect. He finally stands up, and I was like, so I just asked him. I said, what's going on? He was like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, are you okay? Like, what's going on? He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, it's usually not normal behavior to like storm into the classroom while everyone's quiet and sit down and smash your pencil on the desk. I'm not laughing, but and so he's like, no, everything's fine. And I just felt like I had that tickle in my head, like, no, keep going there, like keep asking them. So I asked him. So long story short, he finally says, well, I just came from PE and I got it this way or something. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, well, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I started it. Okay. So then we keep going, and I still had that inkling, like, why? So I kept digging. Well, it come to find out, his mom the night before had actually tried to commit suicide. So it was like, I mean, what do you say to that? How do you react to that? I'm just a person. I'm not some wise, know-all like individual. I'm just a teacher. I just am like, it's like, what do you do with that? So I just, all of a sudden, like, all my frustration, all my rage, all my months of history of being frustrated with a student just like shatters to the floor, and I'm just looking at this 13-year-old kid saying, like, how do you deal with that? That it's like such a momentous, impactful thing in life. How do you deal with that? So, long story short, the whole conversation then turns around to like not even dealing with the behavior, whatever behavior, but now have you talked to anybody about this? Does anybody else in the school know about this? Do you have anyone you're working with? Like, asking questions going forward. And then finally in the conversation being like, I really care about you, and I care about how you're doing, and I want to be here to support you, and yada yada. And then all these other things. So then it kind of unfolds that way. Mind you, then I have to turn around and go back to my other 30 students in my classroom. So there's a big thing of like, when you ask me like, what do you do? Like, that's part of what I do on a regular basis all the time. And the reason I bring up that story is not like a look how great I am story or anything, but anyways, because believe me, I fail more many people all the time every day. But I thought like this idea of living empowered. So that's what today is, in case it's not there. So living empowered. So I have natural abilities, but my natural abilities only go so far. And so this idea of living empowered is, like Joel was talking about the unveiling, about not shutting God out of the process, but partnering with him, about inviting him, about asking for him to be a part of it. And that simple thing when I was walking out into the hallway, just saying like, I feel so at the end of my own abilities, and I'm asking you to partner with me, and then what unfolded from that. So that's kind of the story. So I have this whole season of time where I'm asking myself, what does it mean to live empowered? Because in a really honest moment, I feel pretty burnt out of my job. My job is very taxing and long hours and everything else, and I'm feeling really burnt out about it. But again, going back to like, it consumes about 80% of my life. So it would kind of just be a terrible thing to just like say, well, I'm burnt out, and this stinks, and I'm not happy about it, whatever, and just show up and deal with it every day. Like, well, I don't think that's how God wanted us to live. So how do I live empowered? So my first couple questions is I tried to go back to the very beginning, and I asked myself, well, who is God? So please prepare on your worksheet, that's the question. So who is God? And the thing that I focused on, and the thing that I kept coming back to, is that he's relationship. So he's a multi-part, single-part being. He's the Holy Spirit, the Father, and the Son. He's all about interconnectedness and living together and unifying and being as one, whatever. So in its most simple form, God is relationship. And so then when I start asking the question, then who are we? Well, if we are shaped in the image and likeness of God, which is what we're told, then I kept thinking about this idea that we're designed to live connected. So we're designed to live connected. That means connected with ourselves, connected with God, and then connected with the people around us. So continuing down this track, okay, that's great. I want to live connected to God. I want to live connected to myself and other people. Wouldn't it be nice if that was the only thing I could focus on all day, every day? But mind you, we've got thousands of requirements and obligations, and we've got, things that happen that aren't happy. We've got things that happen that are happy. We've got so much going on in our life that sometimes it's hard to, you can't just always have that one question in front of your mind just all the time. Like, well, that's the only thing I'm doing all the time, this. But it's like, well, yeah, but I also feel like, stop my car right now, so I'm at a stoplight, and I have to eat my breakfast because I'm doing it for work, and I have to. So then my next question is, okay, well, if we don't live in some isolated bubble where all I get to worry about is just relationship all the time, every day, then what is the bubble that I do live in? So my question 2 is, what is your profession? And I don't mean profession like define like your job or like what you get paid to do, but I define profession as what activity do you most regularly engage on a daily basis. So that might be someone like me who's a teacher. Maybe you are a caregiver. Maybe you don't have a job that you get paid for, but that still doesn't mean you don't spend most of your time every day doing something. So if you had to define your profession, what would it be? So then, with that question, the next question is, so what do you do? So with that idea of what it means to be a professional or have a profession, the next question would be, what do you do? And I'm going to give you a minute to do a very short survey of the crowd. So does anybody have like a word or a something that they would say about what do you do?
Counselor.
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 Motivator. Motivator. Community builder. Okay. I talk about, or not just me, but question words. So when we talk about question words, there's the where, what, when, why, and how is what I consider question words. So when you talk about what do you do, that is what I would call the what. So your actions, how you spend your time, that is the what of our life. So then this, I pulled out a couple of scriptures from the chapter, 2 Corinthians, so it's 4:16-18. It's on your worksheet if you want to follow along. So it says, therefore we do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our momentary troubles are achieving for us eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on that which is unseen. Since what is seen is temporary, and that which is unseen is eternal. So I was really I felt like, when something just like jumps off the page at you? I felt like when I read those 3 scriptures, that it just like jumped off the page at me. Like, yes, like this is the season of life I am in. Because we don't always control the what in our life. You know, if you're driving along and someone decides to just like cut you off, like you have no control over that. You could name thousands of things that happen on a regular day. The what is not always something that we can control. But I think this part, fix your eyes on not that which is seen, but that which is unseen. So when I talk about that which is unseen, what I interpret that as is the why and the how. So I'm going to be talking about the why and the how. So if I go back to my original story about a student in my hall conference with him, there's a huge difference between if I had chosen to do that on my own versus choosing to partner with God. And discipline and confrontation are about the most foreign things to me. When I started teaching, I would literally go into like cold sweats when I knew I had to have a tough conversation with a kid. I would turn bright red in the face and show it all over the world. This is really, really uncomfortable for me. I've gotten much better at that. But a big piece of what I continually try to work on is just asking God to do it with me. Because my natural abilities only go so far, but his supernatural abilities when partnered with me is this idea of living empowered. So I could have gone out and been selfish and frustrated. I could have simply gone out into the hallway and said, what you just did is completely unacceptable and it can't happen again or I'm going to write you up for a level 2. Like that would be what you call punishment. Okay, something has now happened and I'm just out lashing with punishment. Okay? Or I could have gone out with God and God allowed to kind of supersede my inability in that moment to give me compassion and to allow me a moment for teaching and comfort and friendship. So here's my big living empowered. My current process of where I'm at with living empowered, that with God we use both our natural and his supernatural abilities. I believe this is living empowered, utilizing the gifts that God has given us and then joining them with his supernatural abilities in order to live connected and from that further the kingdom. I think God has made us all unique on purpose. He gives us gifts, he gives us abilities, and we're meant to use those abilities, not shy away from them, not say like, oh no, I'm not good at that. But I have such a passion for, if you love that thing, if you are skilled at that thing, if that's something that God's instilled in you, then that's part of who you are and it's part of God and it should be in the world. It should be brought into your relationships, your friendships, to your job, to your profession, whatever you do all day. And then in partnering with God, not only can you access your own abilities, but then he gets to add his supernatural abilities and further the kingdom to places that we could never do on our own. So that's the idea of living empowered. My side profession, if I could have my dream profession right now, is being a writer. I have written a book. I'm continuing to work on that. It's not published yet, but maybe one day. But so as I thought about my profession in teaching, and then I thought about my profession in writing. This is something I do as a passion on the side, and I spend a lot of time doing it. And I was thinking about the difference of some days my writing is forced, it's tedious, it's painful. I literally remember having a moment, like an out-of-body where I had sat there for 10 minutes to choose one word. One word. I was gonna, she's working. Well, it could be good, it's gonna be bad, and look at the thesaurus. It's like 10 minutes go by, and it's like one stinky word in a fit. And then there's other days where it feels like the story is like pouring out of me. It's like 10 minutes go by and I've written an entire page, and it's just freely given, it's expressed in a way that I read back later and I'm like, wow, I wrote that? Like, it's just easy. It outpours for you. Okay, very, very clutch. And I wrote it down so I would say it correctly. It would be easy to say that when I'm connected, that life is free-flowing and easy. But I believe that that mentality would imply that God is judging us on how often we succeed versus fail. And that he's judging on whether we're capable in our own abilities. And then I gave it a scripture for Ephesians. It says, basically, that love is unconditional from God. I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is love, the love of Christ. And to know that this love that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled to the measure and all of the fullness of God. So my reality then is that this world is full of things that are forced and tedious and painful. And that's a reality of where we live. And I don't think that, well, if I was just more connected to God, then life would be easier. If I was just more connected to God, or if I had better faith, then that person would have just cut me off just now. I don't think that changes. I think that this world is just full of those things, with or without our control over it at all. I also think that the world is full of free-flowing, well-expressed, easy things that just pour out of you from a place that it just feels good and it feels right and it makes you happy just by being around it or being a part of it or whatever. I think there's both in our world. So that's what I call the what, right? That's the what. That's the seed. So having my conference with my student was not any less challenging than it would have been without God. That confrontation for me was going to be difficult, no matter if I had done it with or without God. But I do think by asking to partner with God, that it shifted my attitude, and it allowed me to access not only my natural abilities, but then to allow God to bring His supernatural abilities into it. So I think the challenge doesn't change, but I think what can come out of it and where you're at in the moment and the process of the how and the why and all those other things, that's what changes. So again, I wrote this down because I was really worried I would say it in front of it. So I believe God wants us to focus on the why and on the how. Are our decisions and actions made from fear, from selfishness and isolation? Or is our life shaped by connection to God and to others? Is our life unveiled to God through difficulty and through easiness, through comfort and through pain? Because I believe it is through living in relationship that we live in power. That God works through who we are and what we do to empower how we do it. This is our soul journey, the shaping of that which is eternal and everlasting. That which is unseen. That which is unseen is our soul. How are we going to shape our soul today? Am I going to live it with God or without God? Because what happens in my soul will be very different depending on that situation. The what might not change, but what's happening in my soul will certainly change, doing it with Him or without Him. And then when we go to the last two questions on your worksheet, sorry, I gave these, I understand, I forget. So when I think of the why, this idea of living empowered, the why is all about shaping our soul, and it's all about furthering God's kingdom. So why do I care about this kid? He just totally made me upset, made me so mad. I want to go out there and just cut him down, say knock it off, and sit in your seat and be quiet. But if I really keep track of the why and focus on the why, then shaping my soul and furthering the kingdom is why I should do anything I do. And then the how is living connected with God and living connected with others. Asking God to be a part of our process at all times, in the good, in the bad, in the pretty, in the ugly, in the everything in between, that it should be about doing it with Him. So, all that being said, in case it didn't come out, there is like a huge passion in life right now. It's all about accessing empowerment. How do I live empowered? How do I help others live empowered? Because I look out into a sea of faces looking up at me each and every day, and all I want to know is, who are you, and how can we help you be the best of you, and how can we help each other be the best of us? So on your worksheet, in that left column, you have all filled out now the kind of the what's. So I asked you those two questions: what do you do? What do you do? So in that circle up there, it would be called the what. And then the other two circles would be filled in with the why and the how. So I didn't know how long I was going to end up talking. I don't know ordering that time, but I couldn't really plan it. Like with teaching, I feel like I got pretty good at every time. With talking, it's not as much. So I don't know how much time we have, but whether we do it now, whether you do it later, here was the reason I wanted on the worksheet to also give you the opportunity for the why and the how. So we fill in the circles, and underneath the column for the why, I put the lines that would match up with whatever you would have written for what you do. And so my challenge to you would be ask God what you're doing. Why am I doing what I do? How can I use it to shape my soul to further the kingdom? Why are you doing what you do? So if you are a mom each and every day, then why are you doing that the way you're doing it? How can you use it to shape your soul, and how can you use it to further the kingdom? And then ask yourself the how. How can I live connected through any and all of the what's in life? How can I live connected with God? How can I live connected with others? Whether that's practical things like maybe you come up with some code with your friends, like when you need to reach out, that you send a certain type of message. Maybe it's something like, well, I'm really terrible with schedules, so maybe if I just set something up on a regular basis, I'll actually get to connect that way. It could be really practical things, or maybe God has like a whole new picture for you that we couldn't even imagine. But I'm all about why and how. So, are we up kind of time? What do you want to do?
How about, we had planned a little song to we do something else, but what if we do something else and then come back? We'll play some music for you guys, and we want to sing the song. And while we do that, you can all take a minute and write your thoughts down. Can you write some things down? And then I'll come back and we'll so. take some time to ask good questions. I'm going to share a brief financial update. We do this quarterly, just so kind of everybody knows how we're doing as a church, really general thing. And then I'll kind of finish with about why we do what we do. So up here, you can see we're showing the third quarter, which is July, August, September. And we're showing a comparison between 2016 and 2015. That's what notes are. As a church, we gave about $2,500 more. We spent a little bit less. And and the result is a net of a positive 1,600, which is last year, negative 27. What's interesting is normally around this part of the year, we're actually negative because summer is just one of those times where kind of finances change, and it's typical that in the summer months our giving goes down a bit. This year it kind of didn't. So that's one reason kind of we're in this position. Last year, I don't know if you remember, but we ended up like even on the year. So it's not really that unusual to be a couple $1,000s down around the end of quarter three. This year, we're almost $2,000 up at the end of quarter three. We're coming into the end of the year, which is normally sort of about time for us. So a really fun thing to think about is, what do we want to do with this money? Because I'm not like a believer in a big bank account. I kind of think we have the money that comes in for us to use for ministry, which is just another word for serving people. So we have some ideas. We talked to the council about how we want to end the year. I kind of like the idea of ending the year. I mean, we do have a little bit of a cushion in our bank account, but I kind of like the idea of ending the year even, honestly. And I like the idea that whatever we receive, we put to use. Unless, of course, we have a bigger goal and this is a multi-year goal or whatever. The other screen, and I need to thank Mike Crippen for putting these numbers together for us. The other screen that I want to show you is the year-to-date through the end of September. So same kind of deal. The bottom line, which is our net, shows you that on the year we are just above even, as opposed to last year, which we were down about 3,000. And that's largely due to the top number. We've given more than last year, and we've total on the year spent very close to the amount. I mean, we kind of just run things at a minimum amount. And what you'll notice changes are these three categories mostly, or two categories of giving and ministry. Giving might sound like a weird expense, but we give 10% of whatever we receive goes to Foursquare, our denomination. So that's part of that, as well as any missions or other giving that comes, like, is just like a percentage, or somebody gives us a gift that says this is for that, so we just automatically sort of reroute to like, let's go. So that's what giving is. But ministry is the big one that can fluctuate and that we just kind of always want to see year in and year out, spending more money in ministry. So that's anything that directly connects with serving and helping people. So part of ministry is like what we do on Sundays. So you can see it's always there. Before I move on, any questions you're welcome to ask? So how much I think most people know I work part-time for the church, so my salary comes out of that church, the church part of the budget, which also includes our rent here, all our insurances, all our bills, and that's all under the church. Questions? Mike Griffin does a good job, doesn't he? Makes it pretty straightforward. Question? Jerry. Well, this came up as a council. There's a couple things. One, at the end of the year, it's at holiday time, it's always really nice to have something together we can do. And I like it, when it's connected to one of us, not just some random thing out there. So we've got some ideas. On a more long-term vision, we kind of don't have a missions plan at this point. In other words, getting outside of our country. And missions doesn't have to go outside of our country, but I like that we can do that. So what that will end up taking is just some people who are passionate, and I know we have people who are, working together with me and the council to kind of come up with a plan for where we really want to be sending money out to. Obviously, Ken's really well connected with Mexico. Scott is not here, but Scott does microfinance in other parts of the world. We have connections amongst our group. Last year we gave to an orphanage in Cambodia that some of us are connected to. Lots of opportunities. We can do lots of things.
Last year we had
Last year, I think Melissa just did that last year. And, oh yeah, I teamed up with a couple of people who were interested in helping out. Yeah, would anybody be interested this year in teaming up to specifically help buy gifts for specific families? Well, I guess if you are interested, would you let us in here? And then we can do something else, because I'd like to. Cool. So last thing I wanted to say, this connects with what Jesse talked about, and numbers, why do we do what we do? Why are we here doing what we are doing? All those things that Jesse talked about, I think this is like the heart of the issue of how do we live, and what are the things that Jesus is trying to teach us to help us with. And bottom line, why we have a church, why we kind of put this whole thing on, and why I, do my job and why so many of us help out to make this happen, is because you can't do it alone. That is just, like, if we want to get down to brass tacks, nobody can do what Jesse is describing alone. So we have a little tagline we're kind of introducing on some of our things we made, which, if you notice our beautiful poster that was designed by Jesse and some of our brochures, one of the lines there says why. Like, why do we do what we do? Because everybody needs a friend for the journey. So everybody's got a journey. God's inviting us all into it. And everybody needs a friend. You just can't do it on your own. You can't discover your whys and your hows and your whats and all that stuff without somebody else helping you out. So that's why we do what we do. And we're going to keep finding more and more ways to help us do that together. That's it. Thanks, Nelson. Thanks, Jesse, for speaking. Have a great day, everyone.
Fair to us, hearts. Like that? You get something else?
Yeah. Just a second.